I'd like to touch upon what are the insights you'd like to share with artists? You've seen now a very wide spectrum over the past 10 years. I'm guessing at least 30, 40,000, names that have filtered through Best College Art, of which maybe about four, maybe 500 have achieved some measure of success. What would your advice to artists be?
So my point is again, Peter Nagy said this to me very nicely
Hmm.
once, and he says, "Kapil, when I was doing art in New York, you're waiting tables in the day and you're creating art in the night.
Right.
Out here, art has kind of become a refuge for people, for artists. I think artists need to work much harder. Okay,
Right.
first of all, I think first thing is that artists in India think I'm an artist. My work is priced at 2 lakhs. Okay, so they go because and they're only looking at selling two or three works in a year. So I think younger art is overpriced in India. Younger emerging art is phenomenally overpriced in India. So I think that's one. Two, I think as an artist you really need to work hard, and that means
Absolutely.
taking some very very strong strategic moves. Let me give you a real example. I was in Sydney, and my friends knew that I love art, so they took me to this Tim Olson gallery,
Right.
and I went and saw the work of an artist called Paul Davies. Yeah, I saw his work; it was great, fantastic. And then Paul and Tim introduced me to Paul. Never met him, but I think we interacted on email or whatever, and all became friends. When I was opening Art District 13, I was speaking to a top Indian artist,
Right.
really top 10 in India. Yeah, from Auction Records, Contemporary Space, and I only do contemporary because I believe that if moderns had to be bought, my parents should have bought them. Okay, and I'd rather support the artists who are kind of learning to have a
Sure.
practice. Yeah, no, different perspective. I have a lot of respect for people who buy the moderns, but that's my perspective. Yeah, and so from my perspective, it was very very clear that I was so I met this guy Paul Davies, and I said I interacted with this guy Paul Davies, and so this artist actually backed out last minute. He came to see the gallery. I was doing a phenomenal gallery, architectural discipline. Akshat Bhatt was designing the gallery. It was beautiful, and this artist just backed out.
Right.
Okay, and I said, boss, but you were my first opening show. Top 10 artists in India. Yeah. And he says, oh, well, I can't do it, my health and this. But this kind of crap always happens in India. Always. Yeah. So I said, okay. I called up Paul Davies. Okay. And I said, Paul, I'd like to open with your show. He's saying, okay, how many months? I said, 2 months to go. He's saying, okay, I've got some works. I'll put something together.
Right.
And this guy, we had to get his works shipped. There was a problem there. He could not get a visa because he had moved from Sydney to LA. And I asked him, why have you moved to LA? He said, because couple, if I have to be a global artist, I need to live in different parts of the world. And Australia and Miami have a very nice connection, which is the gold age and when gold diggers were going and all that. So there's a great story there. But he moved. Uh, and he was hungry. He was eager to do that show. Arvind, that was the first show we did with Paul Davies for Art District 13. Okay.
Right.
Uh, we sold 4 works here. There were 10 works in the show. We sold 4 works here, but Paul Davies was such an international superstar. International superstar. And this top 10 artist in India that I'm not naming on the show would sell 1 work in a year or something. Okay. Uh, 6 works, 6 works from the first show were shipped out to international locations and they were sold within 24 hours of the show opening up in New Delhi. Okay.
Right.
After that, every single show that we did with Indian artists never made us any money. But Paul Davies made us so much money in our first year that the entire gallery expenses for Art District 13 were paid for by just one show.
Right.
Okay. And he told me there are enough guys in Australia who will buy the work and US will buy the work because collectors are waiting for works.
Right.
And that's what happened. They just the moment the show ended, we had nothing to sell. Absolutely nothing to sell.
Right.
Okay. And since that day, we've kind of represented Paul Davies in India. Okay. But just look at the sensibility. The guy had a solo show in Sydney, in Melbourne, in London, in LA, in Miami. Tell me one Indian artist who's done that in the contemporary space, and you will be down to less than 10.
Sure.
So how does the Indian contemporary art work? So the point is, we are not ready to work hard. We already have a very good sense of entitlement if you're established in this industry.
Sure.
So and my point is, I look at these guys and I say, oh God, and I still meet that top 10 artist here and there, and he had a heart attack some years back, and he's kind of recovering from it and all. And I wish him well, but he's not going to make it anywhere. He's just not going to make it anywhere. Not because he's not talented. I think he's very talented. But I just think he does not want to work hard. And most of the artists in India do not want to work hard. When we look at the success of a Subodh Gupta or a Bharati Kher or a Atul Dodia or a Jitish Kalat, I think a lot of us forget that these guys are really hard-working people.
Sure.
They work really, really hard. And I think the younger generation has not learned this from them. The younger generation of artists has learned not to work hard, but to just claim a false sense of entitlement. So my one advice to younger artists is show as many shows as you can. Okay, I mean, I can give you so many examples of super talented guys that I own in my collection, but I haven't seen a solo show from them in the last 5 years. I haven't seen any work from them in the last 5 years. And as one of their top supporting collectors for many years, I've never seen any communication for them in the last 5 years.
Right.
That's not the way to build an art practice. Paul Davies may be an international superstar today in the art world, but there is not even a month that he does not touch base with me. Okay, and I'm not saying it means we only have 2 works to sell. I think we only 1 work to sell left this year, and we kind of every year get an allocation of 2 or 3 works, and they always sell out. But that's the. I think you need to work hard. I think you need to build connections. I think you need to show works. I think you need to be in collections. I think you need to sell more so that people can see your work in people's houses when they visit people's houses. So I think that entire system is broken, and I think at one level, at Best College Art with auctions, and we're selling. Arvind, in every auction we kind of show 50 works. We sell between 30 to 35 every auction. I think we're trying to solve that. Although in COVID times people are not going to people's homes, but I think when everything starts, you look at it. We've now been doing this for 8 months, 16 auctions, close to 500 works sold in auctions. So kind of building that parallel art market movement. And I think in the next 3 years, we would have 4 to 5,000 great works placed at people's homes. And that will then start the second cycle of maybe the art world, because nobody else is doing it. So people are happy selling 2 works in a year or 10 works in a year. That's not going to change anything. You're pretty much not doing anything, no matter who you represent.
Sure. No, that's an extremely powerful perspective, Kapil. So to the artist, I think visibility and hunger are two very, very important touch points. So, anyone listening in who is looking at making an impact in the art world, I think that's one very important, piece of advice that you've received. Kapil, can you give me a sense of the lockdown? The past 8-9 months. One part has been the online auctions that we've spoken of. Any other observations that come from the positive or the negative side that you'd like to share from the promoter perspective?
Actually, see, people have been cocked up. So a lot of people who were traveling to Europe or whatever, and when you buy something, it gives you a sense of it releases the right hormonal juices in you to say that it gives you a very big high. And buying a work of art is always a big high. Yeah. So it gives you a great dopamine kick. So I think from that perspective, there's never been a time to be buying art. Yeah, never been a time. And I'm very appreciative. And a lot of people are trying to do a lot of stuff. I love this collaboration that they did with In Touch. And I think some other galleries did something else too, which is very good. I think 2 great collaborations. I love what you're doing. I think you become more active in the COVID phase than you were in the pre-COVID phase. Every Sunday I get a nice report, which is fantastic because that's information. That's what I wanted to do with the wall, but not at your level. I think you kind of operate at a very different level, which is amazing. I think what Bhavna has done, for example, she's done 2-3 shows. She's still publishing Take on Art, which I think is an absolutely beautifully produced magazine.
Absolutely, yes.
I think you, Bhavna, 2-3 key galleries, people who are always pushing the envelope, I think are the beacons that the art world really needs. And I think the shows are coming back right now. We're actually kind of planning our first solo. Raju Baraya's come back from the Emerging Artist of the Year award. 2019 he came. The solo show got wiped out last year. So we're pretty much now looking at doing it in February or March. So physical exhibitions are also back in a big way. But I think a lot of companies now need to come in and do stuff. I think that's also important. Some institutional support for the arts, and RPG's done it, and some other groups have done it too. But I think that will help the Indian art world too. And I think that needs to happen. But that's for everybody. That's for groups to come together and do. But I think it's a very exciting phase, and that's why, like I was sharing with you earlier, we are kind of moving from Best College Art to form, because I think we moved beyond college art, and art is a form, and we need to embrace that form. So we're kind of rebranding ourselves to form, and you'll see a new identity. There are different ways, and we've got great insights, Arvind, because we work with great financial partners to understand how and what people are doing when they're coming onto our site. So we got a lot of science on what people are looking at, what people are doing. Do people like to see paintings by medium, or do people like to see paintings by by an objective landscapes or
Sure.
religious figures or abstracts. How do people want to see? So we've got some great insights on that, and the form is kind of capture all those insights and come back to you in the next 2 months with a totally newer avatar on how people are buying art and
Fantastic.
embracing art.
Fantastic.
So that's the future direction really.
That's fascinating, Kapil. To your point of having utilized the past few months productively, the results are for anyone to see. I think there's been a high measure of very tangible success for Best College Art. That, as you pointed out, listeners, it'd be important for you all to know that that the current initiative is going to be formally known as bestcollegeart.com. It's going to be rebranded as the Form. There will be information that you will receive if you subscribe to this initiative currently. Kapil, to your point of staying accessible and communicative, in my capacity, if I were to, you just touched upon what we guys have been doing. For the better part of my professional career, we advised only about a dozen odd individuals and institutions. But we realized that that the market is now ready for collective action, and in part that is the doing of initiatives such as yours. You're invigorating a very large part of the community. These tens of thousands of people month upon month in an interest towards art. Now, when they want to get a little validation in terms of how to buy, when to buy, where to buy, what to buy, a platform such as Mine Artery India, which has all this data on the market, we've got every single sales record in the public domain of 900 plus Indian artists. If you want to take a sensible decision, if you want to understand how much to spend on whom and what work to buy, we had this information, but we were using it privately for our own consumption to help our clients. But what we did 2 years ago is we decided to make it slightly more democratic. We opened it out. And now a lot of this information is available to anyone who wishes to. And what we have seen over the past 5 months in particular, there's been a surge in terms of the visits to our website, the number of signups. At this point, I think we would perhaps have the highest subscription rate or people who are coming to us purely for information.
Yes.
As far as sales go, we still operate on the modern side of the fence more than anything else. We still, operate only in the top tier of the market. But having said that, we've also created very democratic channels, perhaps taking the cue from what you're doing. We have gotten into programming, and we've seen a very high measure of success, which is something that I wasn't expecting for younger programming. So these are very exciting times. I think the market is genuinely sort of inflecting into something much larger. And I think the following decade is going to be remarkable in terms of how vibrant this ecosystem can genuinely become. So yeah, I think in large part that's because of promoters like you, and the actions that you have taken
No.
via these various channels. Now, don't be modest. I think you've already covered a large part of what you brought to the table.